welcome to Spiritual Badass TV, Maria LaRiva. Maria, I'm so excited to talk to you today because your life, it sounds like your life has been transformed in a major way, and you're an inspiration to many. So I'd love to hear about that, you know, what was happening and the beliefs that you dug up and the beliefs that you transcended in order to allow your life to change in a big, beautiful way.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. I just love it and I love the invitation. And I'm so grateful that you're doing this. It's just so great. And I'm willing to offer anything. Yeah.
So give us some background. Like tell us about your life before the transition, before you realized what was going on. It was getting pretty bad, right? Things were pretty
Yes,
rough.
yes. What I see is that uh, most of the time, our worst moments are the moments that are opening us that door for the greatness. So it only depends on us to have the courage to just go forward and just dig in and ask questions and say, okay, I am done here. I need something else. So that moment when you give up, that is the exact moments when the whole universe starts conspiring again. I mean, for you, in order to make your life an unbelievable life, because you're like a blank. Like, okay, I'm ripping out all the papers. This is my life. This is my book. I don't know what to do. So what book am I going to write now? So to answer your question, I just wanted to give a little introduction in that because that's how my life was. I was like in a hole and actually probably myself throwing dirt on top of me. Um, I was my relationship was terrible. I was married. Nothing was going right. I was feeling that I was so little. Like I used to work before, but then after I got married and well, I don't know, it was kind of like, I don't really remember. It was so terrible that I just kind of like erased most of the moments that I spent thinking about whatever it was. But it was kind of like my life was dark. I had no idea what to do. It was the time where my daughter decided to come into my life because I really believe that the children pick their parents, I mean.
I think so too.
So, yeah, so that's why I say that she was actually the the push into this greatness that I am feeling right now. So I don't think that I did say, you know, I'm going to make my life better. So let me get pregnant and have a daughter and a child, and probably everything would be great. I don't think I said that. Actually, I was against that. And I even wrote a book that has to do a little bit about that. That's called Mommy, Why Do You Want Me? And I was so focused in that, in not getting her here because I needed help. But I believe that she, in another dimension, said, you know what, I'm going to go there because I know what's going to happen there and I know what I'm going to do there. I know what I'm going to be able to do there. And I know what my mom is going to do for me and probably what I'm going to do for her. So when she was around 5 years old, and my life was, I explained, it was like all dark and I had no idea. I felt like dirt. I felt like I wasn't worth anything. I didn't know how to do anything, although I forgot who I was before I was married, which was a lot. But at the moment, I was thinking of probably being like an assistant, not an assistant, a secretary, like answering phones, because that's what I could do. I started having like fights with her. She's a very potent being. Believe me, at 5 years old, she could stand up to me and say no and just fight her way out to do whatever she wanted. But I was having so many fights with her and it was really hurting me I was, after every fight, I was in pain. I felt like fighting. I'm like, oh my God, if this is now, what is it gonna be when she's a teenager? It's like, oh my God, this is bad. This is really bad. So I have to do something about it. So that's when I took all my old books, my life books, and I ripped it up and I say, I have no idea what else is possible. What else can I do in my life? I start asking questions. Once you start asking questions, that's when everything lights up. So that's when God, the universe says, okay, finally you're letting me do something. Because when we are in that turmoil, we keep on doing and trying and fighting and struggling and looking for something. And we never stop and say, okay, I just don't know. I don't know what to do. What else is possible? What can I do?
I
So
love
that's
that. That's so brilliant to ask questions because we tend to make statements. We go around observing reality and saying, that sucks, or even just like, oh, that's a nice color of blue. We're always making statements, just in our mind. But if you get into the habit of asking questions, then you're opening up to answers. Ask questions that you actually want the answer to. Don't ask a question like, why can't I get ahead? Right?
yeah.
How can I get ahead might be
Those
a
are,
better question.
yeah, those are statements with a question mark.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So then things started shifting for you? You started getting downloads or realizations, or how did it happen?
Yes. Yes. Well, after that, even then I said, you know what? Even though I was a psychologist and I helped people, it was like 2 years that I wasn't allowing me to help anybody because I thought it was completely hypocrite to help somebody when my life was going so wrong.
Mm.
And I didn't believe I could do that. Although now I see it a little bit differently, I could have helped with my knowledge. And probably that person that was not so much in a hole like me, I would have lifted up. That's how I think right now. But at the moment, I thought of that. And
You just said something really important, and that is there's this idea that all of us, healers, light workers, helpers, teachers, it's almost like we think we have to be perfect before we can help other people. And it's a self judgment. And when we learn to accept, hey, we're human too, and we're never going to be perfect in that way, we're perfect in our imperfection in a way. But we can have our own personal struggles and still be of service to other people because it's coming through us. It's coming from our higher selves, from that other dimension, the wisdom. And we can be a conduit. I've seen this many times, people who have struggles in their own life, but they're amazing when it comes to other people. They can just bring through the right information or the right touch, if they do body work or whatever. But we have to stop judging ourselves so harshly and loving ourselves more and seeing ourselves the way that source energy would see us, or God or the universe, or, as
yeah,
perfect the way we are. It's really
we're
important.
potent. We're definitely potent. We are. Yeah.
So you identified, you had written to me that you had identified some specific beliefs, and I'm really interested in sharing that with people because beliefs are really the engine behind our reality creation. What we believe is what our reality consists of for the most part, right?
Yeah.
So you realized you were creating something you didn't like because you had these false beliefs. Would you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, sure. Um, oh gosh, there were so many. Well, the first belief is what I told you is that I I believed that I could not work. I believed that I wasn't worthy enough to earn money, or that I had the capacity to go on a job and ask for, ask to be employed in anywhere, even a receptionist or anything. Just like, okay, probably I even thought maybe I could go and clean houses. But at the same time, the beliefs that I have, and this is a little bit going on the tangent, But the beliefs that I have, like 80% of the beliefs that I had were not mine. So what happens is when you are open to everything, you're like a sponge. You start getting all the beliefs of everybody.
That's right.
I'm not worth it. How can I have that belief if I was the manager of international companies, taking care of international trade in Latin America and the United States, and it's how can somebody that had all that background, I know 5 languages perfectly, and I've studied in Europe, in great schools here in Massachusetts, in Ivy schools, and so that's a proof of most of our beliefs are not even ours. So it doesn't matter what belief I had in this case. I was believing something that was not mine.
That is such a beautiful story, and everyone does that. And I think of these beliefs as sort of like, I picture them like clouds. They're thought forms, they're energetic forms of their own, and they're all around us. And we are surrounded by all kinds of thought forms that are not our own. And
Yeah.
so it's really important to take a look at what's going on inside your mind and take control of it, right? And say, I don't believe that. Release it. Because it only has power when you're unconscious. When you become conscious of it and you say, I'm not going to believe that anymore. I say no. Just say no to that belief. I'm not stupid. That's ridiculous. I like, this might be an access consciousness thing somebody taught me once, but ask the question when a thought comes over, right? A negative thought. Whose thought was that?
Who does it belong to?
Who does that belong to? And it's
not mine.
It's really fun. There's the door. Yeah.
So what I did was I believed that I wasn't worth it, and I bought the belief. I bought it completely. It was mine, my own, and I was, in that dark cloud, and I couldn't deal with my daughter. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't go outside because I was a nobody. Probably I was going to be abused by, the judgments of everybody, psychologically abused. And so the moment where I said, and actually it's funny you said access consciousness, because I'm very much into access consciousness too. But that's part of it. So I completely bought that belief as mine. So I would react and I would live my life believing that that belief was mine. Yeah. So when I asked the question, what else is possible? Actually, it was access consciousness that appeared in front of me.
Ah.
Yeah. And I start asking it, more questions. And when I went to one of the classes of Access, their first class, which is bars, I got a clear mind. And when they said to me, those are not your beliefs, I'm like, oh my God, yeah. Look who I was before. I used to travel the world all by myself. Since I was like 5 years old, my parents would put me in a plane and I would walk the corridors of the airports by myself, and I'm here, with now 50 years old, and I'm saying that I can't do anything. Come on. No, it was before 50 though. I started some time ago. But then that's when everything opened up. When I started saying, no, I am a powerful being. I am an infinite being. An infinite being would not think this. An infinite being is not like this. So how is an infinite being? Well, that silence that was right there, that's what an infinite being is. It's so huge, there's no words for it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's the perfect answer.
Yeah, that was.
Wow, that's wonderful. And for anybody who's watching this who's never heard of access consciousness, it's a modality for healing and transformation. That's very powerful. I mean, but there are many modalities, obviously, that can do the same work. It just depends on what appeals to you. And
Right.
in your case, Maria, it showed up, so it was the right thing for you. You know,
Yeah. Right
was it?
there, right then, it was access. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we get what we need at the time, right? Like a book falls
Yeah.
off the shelf and hits us on the head, or
That's right.
or something
That's
keeps
right.
showing up on Facebook every day. Oh, it's that again! It's that again! I better look at it now, right?
Yeah.
Our guidance will persevere until we act on it. Sometimes,
Yes. And it's funny because after I start asking questions, then everything start appearing. But it's not a question like, um, well, it is open questions. This is what I focus myself in open questions, because I believe, in all those laws that are said out there, and we are powerful. We get what we ask for. We definitely get it. But we're asking from a position that I know it all. Then with that, you're like, okay, I want this, I want that, but what if? I'm not even going to say what if. I am sure that the universe, God, wants much more for you than what you could ever imagine.
yes.
So when you close yourself into, I want this and I'm going to get it, and yes, you will get it. But then, wait a minute, you could have even more than this that you can even imagine. Why don't you be open to the universe? Ask an open question and see what you get.
Yeah, I like it when people do affirmations and vision boards and say this or something better, because
Yeah,
you're allowing the form of it to be chosen by the universe or your higher self or what have you. So we get the idea in our head of what we want, but it's going to shift, chances are, or the form that it
yeah,
comes in is different from what we assume it's going to be. So being open to something even better.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
um, so you said there were some synchronicities that happened. Can you remember any specifics about that? Things coming together, little things along the way?
Oh my God, little. They were huge. No, I went to a psychologist that was great help because she worked with energies. It wasn't only just regular psychology. When I said I can't deal with this anymore, then I had a friend that said to me, um, look, I just went to this person. Why don't you, why don't you go there? And then the funny thing is that I went to that person, but that wasn't the right person. She says, no, I'm full. I really can't receive you, but I do have somebody that would love to have you, and she works with me. So I went to that person, and that person happened to be working with the energies and not the other one. So I really wanted, because since I was little, I'm all into metaphysics and just different, very different kinds of things. So I started seeing her. She appeared, and then it was great because she showed me, like, look, no, what you're going through is not normal. This is not, it's not nice. You don't feel happy, so it's not the right thing for you. And then after that, I started asking questions, and things just start to happen, like out of nowhere. Like, for example, I wanted to be just me and my daughter. I didn't want anything else around me. I was like so overwhelmed with everything. So by chance, uh the owner of the house that I was renting called me and said, Maria, I need the house. But I know that he did not need the house because I was friends of his friends. And they say, Maria, he really doesn't need the house. I don't really know what is going on, that he really wants the house back. And they were really good friends. So the only way for me to be by myself was actually to leave the house. So when that came in, my ex-husband said to me, so what do you want to do? I said, what I want is that you go your way and I go my way.
Wow. And that landlord is a cooperative component to your happiness, to your path.
Completely, completely, completely. Until now, that house has been like for a year empty. There's nobody there. And it's like, this is, so those are the little coincidences that they're not coincidences that started to happen. Then the other one was, oh my God, okay, I'm leaving the house. What do I do? Where do I go? So I was starting again to think little, oh my God, okay, let me see. I can't afford it. I don't have a job. Let me see where I can live. Let me look in a neighborhood that would be, not so expensive. And then when I started noticing again that I'm saying, okay, what am I doing here? Okay, now let me ask more questions, and of course, open questions. Where could it be the place that I would find the most peace for me, that I would love, and that would be the most contribution for me and for my daughter? So I did not ask for a specific question. I could have asked, oh, what does it take for me to get to this place really fast? I had no credit. It was like probably 300.
Ooh.
300. Yeah,
Wow.
it was bad. But everything, well, let's go. Let's keep on going in this conversation. So I'm like, okay, let's ask open questions. I'm not going to care about what my credit looks like. I'm not going to care about if it is an apartment, a house, anything. I don't care. I'm just going to open and say, universe, give me the best that you can give me right now. And then a friend appeared again and said, Maria, have you ever heard of Baldwin Park? I said, never heard. She says, I can't believe it. It's the most beautiful neighborhood in Orlando. I'm like, you kidding me? I don't know that. I lived in North Orlando, so I didn't know much about Orlando. So I came to visit the neighborhood, and I went to the office, and they asked for my credit, for my Social Security. I'm like, uh-oh. I said, I'm gonna be honest. I said to the girl, I'm just separating. I have no job. I have no credit. And she's like, she wasn't listening to anything I was saying. I think what was going on, no, I know what was going on is that once I started asking the questions, all the quantum entanglement started to work around me, conspiring for my greatness. So she said, just give me your Social Security. So she typed her Social Security, and I'm there telling her I don't have a job. I'm just separating. And in that moment, those seconds, she says, stop. I don't need to know any of that. You're approved. I'm like, really? So she picks up the computer and turns the computer around and says, what are you talking about? Your credit is pretty good. And I don't say anything. I look at it, and she says, look, it's 640. I'm like, no, don't say anything. Okay, fine. I say, universe, you're going to figure out how I'm going to pay this. I'm in already, and I don't know how I'm going to pay for it, but I'm in, and obviously the universe wants me to be here.
Wow.
So see, what happened at that moment is I let it go. I didn't put any blocks like, oh, I'm not going to afford it. This is one of the most expensive neighborhoods. I can't do this. So I opened it up and I said, what can I be or do to be able to afford this and to be able to move here? So I left it up to the universe. So the funny story is that once I was approved, she said to me, Maria, just make sure that you call the I guess the power company, so your name is on the bill, to make sure, so your name is on the bill. So what I did was I completely forgot about everything. I'm like, oh my God, now I have to go. See, I went back again into that dark cloud. Mm-hmm. Okay. I wasn't that sharp then. I went again into that black cloud, and I said, okay, what am I going to do now? Okay, so I called. And I said, well, I'm moving and this is my address. And they say, well, we're very sorry, but we are going to have a deposit because your credit is not that good. It's under 500. And that was within 3 hours. So I said, okay, how much do I have to pay? He's like, well, $100. I'm like, all right, okay. Well, that wasn't that bad. Okay. But so in matters of hours, when all the universe was for me and I was completely open for the universe to work for me, my credit went up, I got accepted, and then once I let my guard down guard down, actually I put my walls up, the opposite. I completely put my walls up, no scene, nobody was looking at
Mm-hmm.
me. Then that's what happened, all the blocks. So that's when I come with vulnerability. You have to put your walls down and be completely vulnerable so the universe can give you everything.
Wow, that is so amazing. I thank you so much for sharing all that because it goes to show reality is so malleable. It can change like that. We
In a second.
in a second. It's not what we think it is. It's so not solid and we assume everything takes time and it has to go through a process and oh in order
Yes.
to raise my credit it's going to be 3 years and I have to do all these
Right.
steps and it's a vibrational universe and you're living proof of it and you teach yourself that way. You get into alignment with something good and good things happen. You get into alignment with something negative, negative things happen.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's a mirror. Everything's a mirror to us.
And that's what you were saying before is your own judgment. Once you start judging, whatever you judge, that's what the universe is going to bring to you. That's what you're going to get. Yeah. Like if you say, I'd love to travel. Oh my God, I wish I had a job to travel. I had a client. I want to have a job to travel. Okay, so let's work for it. He didn't hear my whole story that, he should be careful what he asked. Well, he was traveling so much. He was so tired of it. He couldn't stay home. So yeah, you got to be careful with what you ask, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, specificity is on your side.
Yeah, that's why I love to ask open questions. So, what does it take for me to be happy and have fun in life? Just bring it. That's what it is great to ask open questions. And that's what my first book is about. Yeah, to ask questions, open questions.
Wonderful. And what is the name of your book?
It's ask and you shall receive. This time you will.
Nice. I think that's a wonderful title because a lot of people have asked and not received, and either they think, "Oh, I'm doing something wrong," or this law of attraction stuff is not real,
Yeah.
and it's the barriers are within our consciousness. They're not
Yes.
outside us.
And sometimes we do need help. And that's my work. I
Absolutely.
work over, energetically to lift up, the blocks that you have because I saw it in myself. I need it. I had tons of blocks and thoughts from everybody else that weren't mine. So we need some help to get rid of those blocks that are stopping us for being the greatness we're supposed to be.
Right on. And I love the open questions too. I always say specificity's on our side, but in a certain way. It's this fine line between being specific and being general, right? But you're being specific about how you want to feel, which is powerful. But you're not being
Which is
specific about the way that comes to you. You're leaving that part open.
Yeah, that comes to the point where everything is energy. So what I'm asking actually, it's an energy. Anything that matches that energy, that's what I want. That's what I wish for. That's what I would like. It's an energy. It's not specifically something. It's the energy.
Yeah, that's powerful. Beautiful. So, Maria, is there anything else that you'd like to share with people watching before we close this up?
Yes. I look straight in the eyes. Who are you? Like everybody that is listening to this, who are you? Who are you really? And with that feeling, I want to leave them with, probably right now they're thinking, oh, all kinds of judgments. But don't judge yourself. Just sit in the question, who am I? Who am I really? And see how that feels. And I bet you it's going to feel pretty light. And if you have the judgments that say, you know what, this is not mine. Who does this belong to? It's not mine. And you'll see how it starts, like the dark clouds are going to start leaving on top of you, in front of you. So I want to leave, this interview saying that you're the most potent being, wonderful, infinite being, better than anybody could ever imagine, with all the power to change your reality in any second.
How can people get in touch with you? Is there a website where they can come and see what you're up to and connect
Yes,
with you?
I have my website that is called Maria F, like Fernanda, Maria F LaRiva.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're
And
so welcome.
all right.
Thank you for having me here.
Take care and keep creating magic.
Vivian, I love this that you're doing. Thank you, really.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.